Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video of my DMT experience, which was absolutely amazing. I'm just going to start off with telling you the setting and then my thoughts going in, the actual experience itself, and then what I feel like I learnt from it, which is probably the most valuable, so stay tuned till the end. So DMT is a molecule that is in all of life. It is in every single plant. We produce it in our brains as well in very small amounts when you're born and when you die, but it's kind of a mystery as to why we produce it. It's specifically in Australia, it comes from the acacia species tree. So this is one of the acacia tree barks. It's not specifically the one that DMT comes from, but it is in the same family and it looks very similar, and these are literally all around me, so I thought, why not film this here, because then we're surrounded by the family DMT spirit in the tree. So to get on with my trip report, I was very lucky. I was in a beautiful setting. I was out in a cabin with just nature all around me, surrounded by national parks, and had the next few days off to kind of integrate it after, which I think was really important and actually made it like insanely amazing as well, to kind of continue the learning process after it happened. I'd gone in, I didn't really know if it worked like this, but I thought, why not give it a shot, because I know with ayahuasca you can go in with an intention. I know DMT's way shorter, as it only lasts about 4 minutes, but I decided to give it a try anyway, so I kind of had the intention the weeks coming up of just wanting to be shown whatever I had to be shown, to help guide me on my path, and just whatever I needed to be shown, show me. So I very much had that open mind to it. Which you kind of have to have if you truly want to experience the experience without fear, because you can learn a lot from these plants and they're there to guide you, and you really want to respect them and respect the process. Don't just take them for fun or whatever. It's a learning journey. They're there to teach you things about yourself. They show you and they guide you, and they're always holding your hand through it. But if it does go bad, it's because you were putting walls up in your mind and trying to control it. I did a bit of meditating beforehand and just reinforced positive affirmations, and then, hey, sorry, change location, it was too cold. It was too windy. So I smoked it, and then about 30 seconds later, so I thought that it hit you straight away. I didn't realize it took about 30 seconds for it to hit after the initial puffs that you take. Yeah, so I thought it wasn't working at first, but then all of a sudden things started to fractal in, like closing in, and then all of a sudden at that point I closed my eyes and put my head back and lie back on the bed, and I was just like, whoop, gone into another time and space and place. Yeah, and then I was in another world. So it's very fast paced. It's like you're just watching all of these scenes that are being presented to you, and for me it kind of kept switching between a few different scenes. So I was in the Amazon jungle, like I knew for certain I was in the Amazon, but it was the most beautiful jungle I had ever been, or beautiful place I had ever been in my whole entire life. It was absolutely magically, enchantingly, divinely radiant, mystical, colorful, vibrant, beautiful. Everything that is divine was this place, and it's like the DMT spirit or an essence or something was showing me this place, and it was guiding me through it and showing me the beauty of it specifically. So it might kind of open the scene into a beautiful tree that's kind of twirling and has some amazing glitter and sparkles, and I'm shown that and I'm like, wow. And then it's like, oh, you like that, let me show you this too. So then it kind of brings another scene to me in the jungle, and it's like insanely beautiful, and as I appreciate it, I can tell it loves my appreciation and only wants to show me even more, which it's kind of like a game you play with it. Once you close your mind off, it will close off, but when you open it and show love, it will show you love by showing you more of what it can show you. And then in that scene, something it would kind of switch to would be these entities that would appear. Terence McKenna calls these machine elves, which I didn't really know much about before I did it. I knew there were these like things that appeared, entities, but to me, I actually gave them a name that I thought that fit them, and that's apricorns. So I'm gonna use that name because they're like these kind of cute little elfish, goblin-y cartoon figures that were cute but also a bit could get creepy. And so they were part of the show, part of showing me the beauty of this Amazonian land. And they'd kind of pop up in my vision here and then pop behind a tree, and they were showing me things. It's like they were experiencing pleasure to the ultimate, and they were showing me that experience, and they would just bask in the beauty and the pleasures of life. It sounds weird, but they had these fingers that would start twirling, like, and they'd do things with their fingers where they'd kind of, it's like they were sucking food off of their finger but loving it so much, and it was like the best thing they were sucking off their finger, or like scratching the back of their head, but they were just basking in the pleasure of that. It was kind of weird in that sense, but it wasn't that weird when I was in it. It kind of sounds weird to say it, but it's just because it's not the best way to say it. There's no way to explain it except they just kind of were pleasure itself almost, but all the earthly pleasures as well. And I noticed that once I started being a bit weirded out by them, it's like they kind of want to come into my vision more and look at me and be like, oh, you're not ready for this, like you can't handle what we have to show you. And then if I'd kind of just remember to breathe and be like, oh, actually what you are showing me is super cool, then it's like, they'd be like, yeah, you like that? And I'd be like, they'd be like, okay, let me show you this, look at this, and it's like, and then they're like, yeah. No, it's just, that's kind of how the dynamic between them worked for me. And yeah, they kind of play with you, and they're like, they are just as fascinated as you. And I read after, apparently, that if you do make noises, then that's kind of their way of communicating, according to Terence McKenna. I don't know. Yeah, so every time I noticed, I'd like take a breath out in awe, or even just be like, wow. Like sometimes I'd say that out loud throughout the trip. Then it's like it drew it out even longer and was like, ooh, like they loved the wow. So then it would kind of make the image go into this other like, wow, and then change into something. And it was like, feeling wise, it kind of felt like the DMT or the whole experience was inside me happening. Like there was definitely the spirit of the plant guiding you there, because you could feel it. You really could feel it, like its presence, but also I felt like it was in my blood, and it was there'd be a trickle of water in the experience, and then I'd feel it. Yeah. So, but then it would switch to this other scene, and this other scene was the scene that I learnt the absolutely most about the whole experience. What I got most from it was self-love and confidence. So I can expand on that in future videos, but I don't want to make this too long for now. So just let me know in the comments below if you want to hear more about that specifically. It would alternate between this scene as well, and this scene was the feet of a woman, and she was running and kind of prancing through the jungle, but it was like a sandy floor bank, and her feet were so beautiful. She was divinely goddess-like and beautiful, and I was just following her and trying to look up to see who she was, but I couldn't see who she was. Yeah, so it would kind of alternate between her, and then I'd go back to the elves, and then I'd go back to her, back to the elves, back to her. But then at one point I was still following her, and she was showing me all the beauty as well, and it was beautiful and amazing, but I just wanted to see who she was. Like, I was the most curious about that, and I kept trying to look up and I couldn't see. And then we got to this opening area, and finally I looked up, and I think the reason this happened, so finally I looked up and I saw who she was, and it's not that I saw it, but I had this wave, like it hit my heart, and she came into me, and I realized she was me. And I even said out loud at the time, I was like in my trip, I was like, oh my God, she's me. And to me, that meant that this whole time, I came in with the intention of wanting to get reassurance of my path, or be taught something by the DMT plant spirit about just giving me some kind of guidance for this time in my life. And I came out of that when I realized it was me, like it was telling me that you don't need to look anywhere or ask for anyone for guidance, because you have all of the answers in you. I am the DMT, I may be the DMT spirit, but you are the same spirit as me. Like, just on a metaphysical level, we are all one and made of the same source. We are all made of God, and so I may be a DMT spirit, but I am essentially you, and you have that infinite depth of knowledge and wisdom within yourself that you can find yourself. So you have all of the answers within you. You don't need to be seeking it externally or asking for guidance, because you have infinite wisdom and you have the answers. And this applies to everyone in the world, because the same goes for everyone. We all have the answers within us. That was amazing for me. It was like, wow. And then in the same time as that, throughout that whole trip, I just kept feeling like this lady, this woman that I was following was so beautiful. And when I realized that she was me, it gave me this such huge amount of self-love and confidence in everything. I was like, wow, if that's me, then I just had so much love for myself after, and I had confidence in myself, and it really gave me everything that I needed and everything that I asked for. So yeah, after I had that pang realization, that's when I think the 4 minutes had kind of finished, and I was coming out of it, but I kept my eyes closed the whole time because I didn't want to come out of it because it was just so beautiful. And I just kept my eyes closed and I kind of started stretching out a little bit and moving around on the bed and still in that land, but it was more like just, this is beautiful, but it wasn't as intense. It was just more visuals. I could kind of make sense, and my partner was with me at the time, and that actually was the most amazingly helpful and beautiful part, because halfway through, when I was forgetting who I was, he moved on my shoulder, and then I remembered, like, oh my God, Sean, like, you're with me, you're here in this. And I could remember who he was, even though I couldn't really remember myself. So it's kind of like, well, at least I have you here if I never come back, because it felt like it went for ages, and I wasn't sure I would ever come back. and so that was really nice to have someone who you trust with you through the experience. And yeah, so I came out of it and I then started shaking. I got so cold I couldn't stop shaking, and I was just physically exhausted, but it wore off shortly after. But I had a glow like for the next 2 weeks, and my creativity skyrocketed. I had so much confidence. I still have so much confidence, hence why this video has come up. Like, I'm just doing what I want to do, and I'm having confidence in my intuition, in my inner wisdom, and in myself. And I just want to continue spreading whatever I can to help people find their truths, to find their path, to find their joys, and to progress in their growth, and to connect with nature, because that is where you find true healing, and to be inspired to live authentic in a world of illusion and a world of so many falsehoods and so much evil. The least we can all do is try to practice what we preach. If you want to shed light on the corruption and live in a society that is truthful, then you have to start being truthful with yourself, and you have to show that process. You have to do that yourself before you try and change the world, right? So live your truths. That's really what I got from this, even more. And yeah, so I do have my journal with a little bit more reflection, self-reflection about it, about some of the main themes and the lessons I feel like I learned, and I do want to expand on all of that a little bit more. So if you are interested in that, please let me know. And if you do want to ask me more about my experience or anything related, feel free to message me. Please follow my Instagram and message me there, because I'm much more active there. And yeah, feel free to follow if you like, and learn more from me about plants, and about finding your truth, and about connecting with nature, and about yoga, and about the journey of life in unveiling the illusions around us. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below if you want to. You don't have to, but I like feedback. So yeah, thanks guys. Have a beautiful day, and peace.